Hello, everybody. It's 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and we all know it's time for a Hot Take Tuesday from Top Speed Digital Marketing. Hello, we are here today to talk about strategy. And strategy is always really interesting because we do social media strategy, digital marketing strategy for a lot of our clients. And one thing that always happens and you always have to be ready for is to evolve that strategy, to revise and revamp that strategy because you will learn so many things as you start down the path of digital marketing, and you'll notice things that maybe perform better than you expected them to, or someone will come up with a brand new idea that is, really solid and gets you a lot of leads or a lot of, event attendance, things like that. So you have to be ready to evolve your strategy over time. So, Kylie, I'm gonna let you take us into, like, what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, sounds good. So, as Lori said, today we're going to talk about how important it is for your strategy to evolve and to keep that evolution very intentional. So, our three big things today are pretty simple. Things change, so you need to change with them and be ready to change with them. Agility is everything. You'll hear us say all the time that in order to be successful in social media in particular, you need to be agile. And finally, complacency will crush you. That might sound a little bit harsh, but it is very true. Oh, Lori, you're muted, I think.
Oh, there we go.
There
Sorry
you
about
are.
that. We have learned this over
Loud.
time, which is things change. And a lot of times we'll start with a client and we do all the research to find out, what have you done in the past that's worked? We also go look into the categories and your competitors and kind of figure out what works and, for your competitors. And then we come up with a specific plan for you. However, things change. Like Kylie
Mhm.
said, sometimes we'll discover, oh my gosh, like we just tried this over the last couple of weeks. We used a phone call as a CTA for one of our healthcare industry clients, and they were inundated with phone calls. We
Mhm.
had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like they literally got like 500 plus phone calls. And unfortunately, they were phone calls that didn't quite hit the mark. So we adjusted our targeting and we keep trying. Now,
Yeah.
a phone call CTA wasn't in our original strategy for this group. We tried it, it worked. We'll evolve the strategy and keep moving forward. So,
Mhm.
what other kinds of things change, you guys, that would indicate a change to strategy?
I think that ultimately the digital marketing space is one that's constantly changing in every facet, whether that's
Mhm.
algorithms, whether it's trends, whether it's brand goals or the people behind the brand or your audience's preferences. Everything is constantly changing. And I think that, I mean, we've said it before, and I think, we'll say it again until we're blue in the face, that without a strategy, a well thought
Yeah.
out one with a lot of resources put into it, you're set up to not just fail, but ultimately achieve really little ROI and kind of waste all of those resources.
Mhm.
So your strategy should be well thought out, it should be intentional, and it should take time. But on the other hand, it doesn't need to be written in stone, and it shouldn't
Right.
be because all of those things are constantly evolving. And if you're not evolving with them and you're kind of stuck in the mud, then it's going to be really hard to continually see that ROI.
Yeah. You will miss out.
Yeah.
And, that's important to note that you have to have your eyes open along with following your current strategy. You have to have your eyes wide open to things that are changing.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, next, Kylie,
Agility, agility, agility. So I think a good example of what we mean by agility, because for me, I think, you hear the word agility and you think like, oh, like being quick on your
dogs,
feet, things like that. Here we mean it
dogs.
mentally and yeah, with strategy. So I think a really good example of this is TikTok. If you are a brand that has built your strategy around success on TikTok, or you're an influencer or things of that nature, right now would be a really good time to consider maybe revising that strategy with the future of TikTok kind of on the fritz and very unknown.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a good example of what we mean when we use agility in this context. It requires really close attention. It requires the ability to be versatile in your thinking, the ability to
Mhm.
pay a lot of mind to what's working, what's not working, and then adjust accordingly.
Absolutely. And agility also means to me taking advantage of things that happen that might be cultural moments that are related or um, pair well with your brand
Mhm.
and taking advantage of those. And that may not be in your strategy, but it may be something that you want to try, especially if it's something that happens in pop culture that's totally related to what you do. You may want to
Exactly.
try to step outside that box and do something a little more agile. So, Molly, what do you think?
Yeah. Part of this that I kind of keep thinking about is how quickly all of the algorithms change and
Mhm.
how all of the platforms are kind of constantly changing what they're prioritizing and what they're deprioritizing. And so,
Yep.
like, having a really good, constant understanding of what is going on that end so you can tailor your content accordingly is also another big aspect of that agility because
Mhm.
your
Absolutely.
stuff might look great, but if the platform that it's on isn't showing it to anyone, it's not
Right.
that great.
Then it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I
I
think
also
a good example of that too, sorry, Lori,
go ahead.
is something that I've noticed lately, and this is kind of what we mean with the word agility, with that word of like paying close attention and being very intentional. Um, in spending some time on LinkedIn lately, what I've noticed is, we've been taught that brevity is everything. You want to keep social captions brief. You want to make it easy on the reader. The less mental calories, the better.
Mhm.
But on the flip side of that, LinkedIn lately, you'll see a lot of people, not brands as much, but individual people garnering really, really solid numbers from posts that are almost written like a story time, right? Like
Mhm.
they're very short kind of snippets, but they're individual paragraphs, and you almost always have to click read more to get them, but they're
Mhm.
doing so well. So when you notice things like that, even if like it didn't necessarily come from an article directly published by LinkedIn that said we are prioritizing long form content, if you see a lot of other people doing it and it's working, try it. So
Do it.
that
Yeah.
I think that's another example too is how Lori said when we go through and create strategies for our clients, we're absolutely doing the research, looking at competitors, reading articles about what's performing. But I think just by spending time on flat platforms too, you can kind of get a sense for what other people are doing that's working and what
Mhm.
maybe isn't so much.
Yep, absolutely. And another thing that we do, and we do this on behalf of our clients, is we follow those experts in the different channels. I always love to sing the praises of Brenda Meller. She's my favorite
Mhm.
LinkedIn expert, and she keeps up with what's happening and how many hashtags is LinkedIn prioritizing in the algorithm. And in a conversation with her, because she might be a LinkedIn expert, but she's also all over social media, is that Instagram has changed how hashtags are
Mhm.
prioritized in the algorithm. For example, we used to think 20 hashtags, put 20 hashtags in the copy or in the first comment, and that really
Mhm.
helps. Well, they are now down to 3 to 8.
Mhm.
And they may ding you if you have 20,
Mhm.
and that's a new thing. That was from somebody who actually talked to LinkedIn, and you can talk to the platforms. We've talked to Facebook. I know, Kylie, you talked to TikTok.
Yep.
You're not always going to get the answers you want, but it is possible to talk to them. And
Yeah.
then, so we have listening ears out there so that the clients, um, we're the client's experts on what's happening currently because we understand the priority and the importance of agility in what we do.
Mhm.
So, last
Absolutely.
but not least,
Last but not least, complacency will crush you. Again, kind of harsh, but unfortunately very true.
mhm,
You could spend, I know for us, doing a really well thought out, thorough strategy is going to take a team effort and a couple of weeks to get it to the place where we feel really good about sharing it with the client. It's going to take some time because
mhm,
we want it to be right. We want it to be good and solid and really ensure we did everything we could to get that ROI for whoever we're presenting it to, right?
mhm,
Um, that is extremely important, but to have that strategy, be comfortable with the resources and time you put into it, and then
Mhm.
to never revisit it is setting yourself up for failure. So
Yeah.
that strategy could get you decent engagement. You could adhere to it for a couple of years and, be pleased with what you're seeing. But if you're not paying additional attention and continuing to revisit, revise, revamp that strategy, you're never going to get beyond that. And eventually it may stop working entirely because your audience gets bored, right? So that's a little depth into what we mean when we say complacency will crush
Yeah.
you. It's just not going to serve you long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Molly, do you have anything to add to that?
Honestly, Kylie kind of covered all of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, just like never being so stuck in like, well, this is what we know and we're the expert kind of mentality
Yeah.
is never a good idea.
Yeah,
But
no.
Yeah.
In social and digital marketing, it's changing so much that
yeah,
you should always feel like you're not quite at expert level
Exactly.
because there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would add to this is we have seen specifically in the dental category, we do a lot of work in the dental category. And one of the things that we see is that the agencies that work in that space do the same 5 or 6 types of posts, and that's it. And is it working? From what I hear, it's not.
Right.
It's got to evolve. You've got to try new things. You've got to try new CTAs. You've got to try targeting new audiences if you really want to get ROI out of your social and digital marketing. And that's what we're all about. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up with if you need someone who is agile and informed and enthusiastic about handling your digital marketing, you will find us at popspeeddigital.com. And Kylie and Molly and I are all open networkers on LinkedIn, so you can find us there and connect with us. And feel free to ask any questions you'd like. If you would like me to spend, 15 minutes on the phone with you and kind of audit your agency's social media effort, I'm happy to do that in with an eye toward making it better and getting better ROI. So feel free to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, we will sign off and we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
bye.